Welcome all students for the paper discussion of recent examination December 2021, and also we are meeting after some time, and I'm very much happy to deliver the lecture today with the new technology of the smart board and all these new facilities that have been brought by the institute. So we must appreciate the effort that the CA Sri Lanka is taking to enhance the knowledge and of our students, bringing the world-class facilities to here. So therefore, on behalf of the students as well as the lecturers, so I take this opportunity to thank the institute, the president Mr. Sanjay Bandara, vice president Mr. Heshana Kurupu, and all the council members, also the CEO of the institute Ms. Dulani, and Ms. Lakmali, director student affairs, who is behind of all these initiatives, and the staff of the education division, managers and the deputy managers. So I am requesting all the students to make use the webinars in effective manner to get through the next examination, so during the July 2022. Let's start the paper discussion. CL1 Advanced Audit and Assurance December 2021 examination paper. So this is one of the most difficult examination papers in recent past, and lot of practical applications have been tested in this particular paper. So therefore, there is no meaning just watching this video unless otherwise you have written the examination paper by yourself. So therefore, I am requesting all the students, please, so if you are watching this video without doing the question paper yourself, please halt the video. Just keep 3 hours time. Please attend to the examination paper, write your answers, and then come and see this particular 2 videos, right? So going to the next step. Now, as I highlighted on all my webinars, the systematic learning is important in advanced audit and assurance. It is very much important that before moving with the video, just ensure that the examination paper is in your hand, the answer script that is given by CA Sri Lanka is in your hand, and the answer script written by you also in the hand, as well as the study pack volume 1 and volume 2, right? Okay, so now I am going to start the paper discussion with the MCQ questions. So MCQ questions are the questions, most difficult type of examination questions in this world, as I used to highlight on my webinars, because especially a subject like advanced audit and assurance, so the scope for testing is very wider. So there are a lot of practical application could be tested being the final audit and examination paper in your CA journey. So therefore, I am requesting all the students who are going to face the examination in July 2022. So don't start with the MCQ questions. So what is important is, when you get the paper at the examination, is to read the questions carefully. One of the most the common reasons that why you write wrong answers, most of you all are not reading the questions, especially the required part. You have to start with the instructions, right? You have to carefully read the instructions also, right? So if you just read the instruction, it says that, so time allowed is there, so 3 hours and 15 minutes, total 100 marks. All questions are compulsory, and we have 3 sections, and this is a closed book examination. An answer to question 1, the most appropriate answer A, B, C, D should be entered in the answer booklet against the relevant question number, and begin the answer in section 2 and section 3 on a separate page. So some of the students miss this one. You have to start with the new page in your answer script when you are writing a new question. So all answers should be in English language, and answers written on the answer booklet, graph papers and any other stationery distributed at the examination hall only are considered in marking of the answer script. So all other attached documents are not taken into account the time of marking the answer script. Just read that instruction. We don't know whether there can be a new thing which was not there in the previous examination. We don't know. So therefore, you have to be careful on that as well. So the second step, after you reading the instruction, the second most important thing is the time management or time planning. You have to plan the time, right? You have to decide what questions you are going to do. So mostly you have to allocate the time accordingly, right? For that, so you don't have to read the full question. But you know MCQ questions, there are 10 MCQ questions, so you have time of around 30 to 35 minutes you can allocate for that. So in allocating, so you can decide whether to do at the beginning, last or at the middle, but my recommendation you can decide. So don't do at the start point or don't do at the last point. So you can take a leisure in the sense less stress time to do the MCQ question, and also be time strict. So time is strict in the sense, now for example, let's say this is a 2-mark question, so 2 marks mean you can devote around 3 minutes during the 3-hour examination. So in that time must be, you have to carefully monitor for MCQ question, because MCQ question sometimes it may take 1 hour, because that much of informations are there. If you look at the question number 1, you can see this is a 1-page question, very large question, right? And also you need to remember that you need to have the confidence at the examination. So in auditing, questions are very large. Does it mean that the paper is difficult? Does it mean that you don't know the answer? No. Even though the paper is very large, even though the content is very large, that doesn't mean that question also difficult, right? When the question is very large, in my prediction, answer is easy. But only thing is, you should have a patient mind to read the question and understand, read the information and understand the requirement and select the answer accordingly. Alright. So accordingly, that as I instructed, you can decide the timing. So whether to do in the beginning MCQ question or short scenario questions. So you know short scenario, we have about 4 questions of the short scenarios. Short scenarios generally are not difficult. So you can decide. So whether you are going to take the MCQ question or a short scenario questions or the long case scenario question. So, and also to highlight one thing, in the long case scenarios there are 2 questions, question number 6 and 7. But question number 6 are having lot of information generally, but question number 7 will not have that much of information. So therefore easily you can attend to question number 7. That is, even though 20-mark question that may not contain a very large quantity of information like question number 6, right? So my instruction, first read the carefully instruction, and the second thing is time has to be carefully monitored. For that, what I am giving the recommendation is, what you can do is, now for example, let's say you are taking the question number 2 as the first question that you are going to do. So you have to put the ending time here. Ending time mean, now let's say for example, you are going to this particular question for 10-mark question, you can devote about, you have 18 minutes, you can take about 15 minutes for that. So that means, let's say you are starting the examination paper at 9 o'clock, so you have to finish at, let's say you take 5 minutes time to additional time to read, then let's say you are starting at 9:05, right? So you have to finish this exam paper at 9:20. This question. So likewise, you put the ending time. So ending time, so you can put like, now for example, when it comes to question number 2, so question number 2 if you are going to do, so that you can do like right. So now second question, so you are starting at 9:20, so you are doing from 9:20 to right 9:35. Right. Likewise, put the time. So then you are under pressure to conclude and complete the examination question within the time you have noticed, you have written at the beginning. So then you have a control, you have pressure to conclude and then the time will be sufficient for you to attend to all the questions. Because some of the students used to come and say and tell me, so I was able to answer only 50 marks, 60 marks, 70 marks, I couldn't do, I didn't have a time. So that is a completely weakness of lack of practice of the examination question using the correct examination strategies. So you need to understand this is a competitive examination. Everybody can't get through the exam. Everybody can't become a chartered accountant. So you have to be smart, you have to be strategic, and you have to be knowledgeable. You might have studied the auditing for a 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years. Still, the success factor of getting through the examination depends on how far you can apply the knowledge that you gathered within the 3 hours for the given scenarios. For that, we have to be equipped with all the strategies, examination techniques and everything to manage that 3 hours and give the answers for more than 50 answer to get more than 50 marks at the examination, right? So that's just few strategies. So let's start the question discussions with the MCQ question. Right. So let's go to the MCQ question. Question number 1. I'm starting with that. Right. So this is question number 1. Right. So now, before writing the MCQ questions in my webinars, I have told you all 2 important critical things to be remembered. What those? Number 1, elimination theory. What is that elimination theory? The elimination theory means you are not going to identify the correct answer, but you are going to identify the wrong answers, because in MCQ questions of auditing paper, there could be 2 answers which is almost similar. Right, so therefore it's very difficult for you to understand. First, rather identifying the correct answer, eliminate the wrong answers, 2 wrong answers, and come into the 2 answers. From there you can select the what is most appropriate answer. Both the answers are correct, but your decision is to identify the most appropriate answer. But when you are deciding the most appropriate answer, second golden rule that I have told is what? Is most importantly, you need to think that the immediate answer that comes to my mind. Immediate answer that comes to my mind may not be the correct answer. So these 2 golden rules should be remembered in a concrete level in your mind when you are doing MCQ questions. And also for you to answer this MCQ question, you know that you need to practice the MCQ questions before the examination. The study text, there are 60 MCQ questions. If you are practicing all the past papers, you have a 10 MCQ question. We had around now 6 examination, if I am not mistaken, with the mock paper 6 or 7. So multiply 6 multiply into 10, 60 questions are there. Revision kit, there are 60, altogether 120 questions is there if you are practicing. Right, let's start the discussion. Right, now, so you are the audit manager of your audit client FinTech PLC. So this is very much important. So you have to highlight the company name, whether private limited or a PLC. There is a significant meaning of auditing examination questions. This is a PLC which had recently established an internal audit division. The finance director of FinTech made the following comments on his understanding of the role of Audit Committee in relation to the internal audit function. Take the highlighter to the physical examination, please. So you have to take the highlighter and then highlight this critical information in the examination paper itself. It ensures that it gets into your mind in a proper way, those critical information. Right? So then, now this is the role of internal auditor. So what the question is about, right? So what the required part of this question? So which of the above statement are correct? Statement O statements are correct about the role of the role of the audit committee with regard to the internal audit function. So the role of the audit committee with regard to the internal audit, which is your chapter number 20 of your study text. This is a little bit of an outside discussion from the external auditing process. So little boring chapter number 20. It's little boring informations are there to read, but starting that question, that chapter only has come as a press question in your examination, right? But there are 2 ways of answering this question. One thing is, if you can remember the theory which is given in the study text, you will be able to answer. But I like not that remembering and memorizing in auditing. So we will try to logically develop an answer. But to develop an answer in logically, what is really important is, so you should have a peaceful, stressless mind during that examination. Please, before you go to the examination, so you have to get reduce your stress level, and you have to be a little bit of a peaceful mind. Then only you can think and develop an answer. That is the most successful method to answer the auditing questions, right? So now see now what is our requirement is to identify the statement which is giving the role of the internal audit. So what is the role of the internal audit? Role of the audit committee with regard to the internal audit, right? So this is straightforward question from the theory, but this is a difficult question actually, right? So part 1, the audit committee should draft the audit charter. The draft charter should then be discussed in detail with the board of directors to ensure it accurately contains the agreed role and expectation of the internal audit team. What is that? Audit committee should draft the audit charter. The draft charter should then be discussed in detail with board of directors to ensure it accurately contains the agreed role of expectation of the internal audit team. What is this internal audit? Just to remember, so what is this internal audit? So if you can remember the chapter number 20, so of any business organization, right? So you will have the let's see. So board of directors of the business organization, and under that the CEO of the company may come in, right? And the CEO, so there are so many functional managers come. Well, who are those functional managers? It may be a finance manager, that is our job role in mostly in after qualifying, and then maybe HR, may be operational, right? Maybe marketing, and maybe IT, right? And there is another one called internal auditor in the business organization. So this internal auditor, so this particular internal auditor's job role is what, right? And in the meantime, under this board of directors, there are some subcommittees comprising the board of directors members. So one of the subcommittees is what? One of the subcommittees is the audit committee. Audit committee, right? Audit committee is an independent committee out of the board of directors to overlook the finance function of the business organization. So they are overlooking the finance function of the business organization, and the meantime, the internal auditor also independently report to the audit committee, right? Now that the question is all about, the question is, what is the role of the audit committee with regard to the internal audit department? Internal audit department, what they do? So internal audit department, they overlook the business organization, whether internal controls have been properly designed and implemented. So that's a wider coverage, a wider scope to look after the business, right? So that activity is overlooked by the audit committee, being an independent committee under the board of directors. So now question is all about, you can think and develop an answer. What is the role of this committee to look after the audit committee or internal audit division? So this is very clearly given in the study text, also in the chapter number 20, the volume 2 of the study text. But we will try to develop a logical answer, right? Let's go to the question now, right? So now first one, the audit committee should draft the audit charter. Should the audit committee draft the audit charter? No, audit committee is to overlook only. Audit committee will not come and draft the charter. Charter means our overall plan. Is that correct? No. Board of directors are not to prepare the reports. Board of directors are to make the decisions of the business organization. People who are in charge of the governance to make the decisions only. So they cannot prepare the reports. So therefore, this is a wrong answer. This is not a function, wrong answer. Now we are going to identify wrong answers first. Then the audit committee should ensure that the internal audit team has the necessary resources and access to information to enable it to fulfill its mandate and is equipped to perform its duties in accordance with the appropriate professional standards for internal audits. Read again. Audit committee should ensure that the internal audit team has the necessary resources and access to information to enable it to fulfill its mandate and equip it to perform its duties in accordance with the appropriate professional standard for internal auditors. So now So this particular audit committee should overlook the internal audit department to see whether they have the access to information, they have resources, whether they have the adequate knowledge in delivering the what is required by the board of directors. Yes, so therefore that is one of the duty of the audit committee. Next one, the audit committee should determine the internal audit strategy and should prepare the overall audit plan to ensure that the internal audit resources are used efficiently and effectively. What is that? Audit, whether audit committee is to prepare the reports? No. The audit committee should determine the internal audit strategy? No. Head of internal audit, the divisional head. So divisional head should decide the strategy and he should prepare the overall plan, then present to the audit committee. Then audit committee can make some comments, make some corrections. That is a governing role, not the doing work, right? So therefore the audit committee should determine the internal audit strategy and they should prepare a plan, overall audit strategy to ensure that the internal audit resources are used effectively and efficiently. So therefore that is again a wrong answer. Part 2 is correct and this is wrong answer. Now look at the 4. The audit committee should approve the appointment or termination of the head of internal audit, and its chair should play a direct role in decisions concerning the head of internal audit, audit's appraisal and remuneration. Yes, so this head of internal audit, right? Head of internal audit is generally be appointed because he has to be an independent person. So then that appointment or removal of the internal auditor should not be vested with the CEO, because he is the one who is going to the issues with the CEO as well. So therefore his appointment or his removal, his remuneration has to be decided by an independent committee. That committee is the audit committee during the throughout the year and the company's perspective to maintain and get a high quality outcome as required, as intended by the audit committee, right? So therefore, so the answer will be, so this is a wrong answer and this is a correct answer. Again this is a wrong answer, this is a correct answer. So therefore answer should be 2 and 4. So 2 and 4 comes in the, so 2 and 4 comes in the answer C. Right, answer C is the correct answer, 2 and 4, right? Right. So we'll go to the next question. Question number 2, again a very large case, scenario. Right, read this one. So Moonstar Limited, so mostly important, the name of the company is important. Moonstar Limited process a significant number of routing intercompany transactions on a monthly basis. The individual intercompany transactions are not material and primarily relate to the cash transfers between the business units for normal operations. The group accounting procedure manual requires monthly reconciliation of the intercompany accounts and confirmation of balance between business units. But there is no proper procedure in place to ensure performance of this procedure. However, the management performs monthly procedures to review the large intercompany account differences. So the external auditor had not identified any misstatement in relation to intercompany transaction during the past audit. It's a big story, right? Don't get confused. Auditing is like this. So if you have practiced the questions, you should expect this type of large cases in MCQ even. Then you will enjoy with that. Actually, you have to enjoy with this. If you enjoy at the examination, you will easily identify and answer this. So now, which of the following statement is true? So which of the following statement is true? True in respect of the above scenario. What is true on this particular scenario? Since the large case, now we will read carefully. Moonstar Limited processes a significant number of routing intercompany transactions on monthly basis. They have intercompany transactions. The individual intercompany transactions are not material and primarily relate to the cash transaction between business unit for the normal operation. intercompany transactions are not material according to the scenario, but you have very clearly learned under the audit materiality. Related party transactions are generally material irrespective of the amount involved. Right. The group accounting procedure manual requires monthly reconciliation of the intercompany accounts and confirmation of balances between business unit, but there is no proper procedure in place to ensure performance of this procedure. So group accounting policy says that the internal controls in relation to this intercompany transaction, they have to reconcile on a monthly basis. However, the management perform monthly procedures to review large intercompany account difference, but they don't apply that. They don't apply that internal control. So they identify the large differences. This is a practical case. So if you are working as an account executive in a multinational company or a large conglomerate group, you realize that. Sometimes intercompanies, there are so many intercompanies, you reconcile only the significant companies. That is not correct actually, but practically happens. The external auditor had not identified any misstatement in relation to the intercompany transaction during past audit. Last audit we have not identified any misstatement. Does it ensure that the no misstatement in the current year? No, because auditing we look at for a particular year. What happened in the past we may gather knowledge, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen past, so therefore it should not happen in this year also. You have not done a mistake in the last year in your office, that doesn't mean that you won't do a mistake in this year. It may happen. So which of the following statement is true? Which of the following statement is true in respect of the above scenario? So what is true here? We'll see that. So this is actually a bit of a difficult question. So external auditor should determine that there could be a significant deficiency in internal control as the deficiency is related to the controls over transaction with related parties. Significant deficiency. Can you remember chapter number 2 of internal controls? Internal control, a significant deficiency, significant weakness that you notice in internal control. The external auditor should determine that there could be a significant deficiency in internal control as the deficiency is related to the controls over transaction with related parties. Now it says that, so you have to decide this as a significant deficiency due to the fact that this is being a related party transaction. You have to consider that as a significant deficiency. That it says like that. We are not sure about the answer. We'll go to the next one. The external auditor should determine that there could not be no significant deficiency in the internal control as the individual intercompany transactions are not material. Obviously you know, so this is not a correct answer, because just because of it is not material, that doesn't mean that it is not a significant, because generally related party transactions are material irrespective of the amount involved. Right? Then the external auditor should determine that there could be a significant deficiency in internal control as the management investigate large intercompany differences. So again it says this is a significant deficiency. Significant deficiency being what? Being why? As the management investigates large intercompany transaction difference. So management at the end of the reporting period, maybe monthly basis, they identify the differences between the intercompanies and they see that large differences are investigated and reasons are found that. Because of that, you think that this is a significant weakness in the internal control system. So this is also maybe a correct answer. Just understanding. But these are not directly there in the study text, but for you to have some good practice of question to answer to this question. Then the external auditor should determine that there could be no deficiency in internal control as the external auditor has not identified misstatement in the last audit. That is completely wrong. Why? Just because of the last year no mistake, that doesn't mean this is not a significant deficiency. So now you see that the examination tips that I gave. elimination theory, that is one of the word that I used in all auditing lecturing. Elimination theory is so important. You can see here now, B and D we can eliminate easily. Now you have only two to select. Out of A and C, what is the correct answer? Now both are correct answers, certain level. Both are correct answers, certain level. Now if you don't adopt this strategy, you will go wrong. Now both are correct, then always you need to think that immediate answer that comes to my mind may not be the correct answer. Now you are thinking, now you are reading two answers carefully. The external auditor should determine that there could be a significant deficiency in internal control as the deficiency is related to the controls over transaction with related parties. If you go to the study text page number 57, this is clearly given. Right? So now, this is a correct answer. Then this one, the external auditor should determine that there could be a significant deficiency in internal control as the management investigate the large intercompany. The management investigate the large intercompany differences mean there is something wrong in their accounting policy procedures. So that is also a reason to be considered. To consider as a significant deficiency. Why differences are coming? One company passed the entry, another company doesn't pass the entry. So therefore, that means there is no flow of information between the two companies. So that is a control weakness. So therefore, this also could be considered. Now, out of A and C, what is most logical, most rational factor for auditor to decide? Just because of the companies identify large differences, then that auditor has a fundamentals in auditing standard. Because we have learned if there is something with regard to the related parties, auditor is more concerned about that. Because through the related parties, the management can do a lot of manipulation. Fraudulent financial reporting can be done. Financial statement figures can be overstated or understated through the RPT, related party transaction. So therefore, by nature, related party transactions are very much important. So related party transaction also, deficiency in the related to the controls over transaction with related parties. Therefore, we recognize part A as the correct answer, part C as the less correct answer. So therefore, it says the true in respect of the above scenario will be the answer A. Clear? Right. So we'll go to the next question now. Right. Question number 3. Select the correct statement which is consideration for auditors when auditing organizations which are developed through technologies and digitalization. So this is coming in chapter number 15, auditing in a digital environment, one of the most interesting and beautiful topic in your CL1 syllabus. It's about small topic, but 10% of your syllabus weightage. Such a fantastic topic, so you can easily score these marks. And the select the correct statement which is a consideration of auditors when auditing organization which have developed through the technologies and digitalization. Select the correct statement. So you have to select the correct statement which is a consideration for auditors when auditing organizations which have developed through technologies and digitalization. You have to identify the correct statement. Right. So now there is no significant change to the use of cloud-based system and general ERP systems, and therefore there will no change to the auditor's overall audit approach. I want to tell one thing to you all. Please note this. So generally, auditing advanced auditing assurance, this is your final examination paper of your advanced auditing application from the external auditor point of view. So mostly these questions when you look at, this is a practical application. So practical application mean, I used to say this one, you don't have to have a audit firm experience to write this paper. That is why this is located in corporate level. You are not required to have that practical training to write this paper. But what is needed? The practical way of learning. Right? You should be able to figure out the theory, how theory is applied in practical circumstances. How can, without going an audit firm, how can you learn that? Very simple. What? Write more and more questions. There are so many questions given in the study text, so many past papers are there, revision keys is there. When you write more and more questions, you will realize that, so okay, this is the concept and this is how it is applied in practical circumstances. Otherwise, don't come to a wrong conclusion that to write this examination paper, you have to be an audit firm trainee. It's not like that. There are so many people in the audit firm failing this examination paper for many times. Right. B. Use of big data analysis will completely take out the auditor's effort on selecting and testing sample as audit evidence to support the audit opinion. The auditors may assess the risk of cyber attack on blockchain as minimal due to strong security features. Hence, the in-depth assessment on cyber attacks on blockchain is not required. Very simple. The auditor still has to gain some comfort over the reliability of financial data processing carried out by the robots in instances where the client is using software robots. We'll read again. Question is, select the correct statement which is a consideration for auditors. Select the correct statement only we are going to select. Right. There is no significant change to the use of cloud-based system, saving the data in the cloud, and general ERP system. There are no changes to the cloud-based and the ERP system. So, no ERP changes have occurred during the previous financial year which is subject to audit by you. So, and therefore, there will be no change to the auditor's overall audit strategy. So, therefore, auditor doesn't need required to change the audit strategy. Is that correct? Just because of the ERP system doesn't have a change, just because of the cloud-based system doesn't have a change with compared to previous year, does it mean that you should not change your audit strategy? To decide the audit strategy, this information technology application is only a one fact. There are so many other factors to be looked at when you decide the overall audit strategy. So, therefore, this is not a correct answer. Use of big data analysis will completely take out the auditor's effort. Use of big data analysis will completely take out the auditor's effort on selecting and testing sample as audit evidence to support the audit opinion. Use of big data analysis will completely take out the auditor's effort on selecting the testing the sampling as audit evidence to support the audit opinion. So, that means big data analytics like Google, alright, Google does the big data analysis. Now, for example, Google Maps. Now, if you want to go today, now I am at the Colombo 7, the institute premises. Now, if I want to go to Maharagama, I will put the map. So, it shows that, let us say 40 minutes. And if I put that map in the morning, now today is now this time is evening, so that it would have been shown like a different timing. How it comes? The lot of millions, billions of data, vehicles movement, lot of things are captured through the satellite technology by the Google and analyze and give you answer within a second. Big data analysis. Right. So similarly, so in those big data analysis concept can be applied for the companies as well. If you are auditing Facebook, if you are auditing maybe like Amazon, so all technology based e-commerce businesses, if you are auditing, so you need to have this technology, otherwise you can't audit those things. So millions or billions transaction you can't audit unless otherwise you can apply the big data analysis in your audits. So now this is a big data analysis will completely take out the auditor's effort on selecting sampling. No. Then why auditors? The auditors are needed. The robot can come and do everything. The auditing profession can be completely taken away. No. It's not possible and impossible. So therefore don't get scared. Auditing profession will never be completely taken away. It is not possible at all. Lot of judgments, skepticisms are applicable in the auditing principle. So those cannot be replaced with the technology. Certain level you can, but not all. The auditor may assess the risk of cyber attacks on blockchain as minimal due to strong security features. So auditors may assess the risk of cyber attacks on blockchain as minimal due to strong security features. Hence, in-depth assessment of cyber attacks on blockchain is not required. It's not correct. Even though the securities are good, still you have to have an assessment of the blockchain, how it works. So that is auditor's understanding. So auditors comfort over the blockchain. So therefore, this is also not an correct answer, then automatically this should be the correct answer. The auditor still has to gain some comfort over the auditor has to gain some comfort over the reliability of financial data processing carried out by the robots in instances where the client is using software robots. Still, even though the calculation or whatever it is done by robots, still you have to have a comfort. Someone has to give the input to the robot. Robot is not working just, so robot has to be given the data. Who is ensuring the reliability of that data? If you give the data, robot will process and give you back the outcome. But if you give the wrong data, also the robot will give you an outcome that we don't know. So therefore, accuracy of the data input which is given to the robot or a software or anything must be ascertained by the auditor. So therefore, the auditor still has to gain some comfort over the reliability of financial data processing carried out by robots in instances where the client using software robots. Right, so that is not a very difficult question, but plus question number 1 and 2 are very difficult. 3 is not that difficult, right? So I will go to the next question, question number 4. So question number 4. Right, question number 4. So this is again a very good question. So you are an SLFRS 9 specialist in your audit. So your client XYZ PLC, so this is a PLC, had requested your assistant in determining the debtors impairment provision. Debtors aging is one of the reports management uses to determine the impairment provision of a debtors age analysis. You might have heard this. The board of directors of XYZ PLC wants to determine the appropriateness of the aging of the debtors in the report. The board of directors of XY PLC wants to determine the appropriateness of the aging of the debtors. Aging report accuracy, appropriateness will have to be evaluated. The directors communicated the requirement and stated that they do not require an audit. Right. So select the most appropriate engagement. This is from assurance engagement chapter. So this is from chapter number 17. In order to meet the requirement of the board of directors of XY PLC. Part A, limited review engagement, special purpose audit, limited review engagement, special purpose audit, and audit of specific elements and agreed upon procedures. There are 4 answers for given scenario assurance service. If you have watched the relevant assurance engagement webinar that I have done about probably 1 year back to the all CL1 students, that's very clearly I have given you all a framework how to decide. Being a chartered accountant in practice, like in our audit firm, that being a partner of an audit firm, we provide many audit services. Non-audit services, many services. Now audit firms are providing audit, tax, company secretarial, then advisory services, right? Review engagements, special purpose audit, forensic audit. This is a common topic these days. Now all are talking about the forensic audit. It is coming on our purview, right? And then stock verifications, right? Recruitment services. Likewise, there are many things that the audit firms do. And in that video, I have clearly given you all a framework how to decide what the service, what type of services, under what type of circumstances that the auditor gives. Alright. So when you decide in this here now, so you are an SLFRS 9 specialist in your audit. So your client XYZ PLC had requested your assistant in determining the debtors impairment provision. The debtors aging is one of the report. Debtors aging mean debtors aging mean now generally you might have seen the debtors are put into the buckets. Maybe 0 to 30 days bucket, 30 to 60 days bucket, 60 to 90 days bucket, 90 to 120, 120, 180. So likewise you are putting the debtors into the bucket to identify the long outstanding debtors. The board of directors of XYZ PLC wants to determine the appropriateness of aging of the directors in the report. the directors communicated the requirement and started that they do not require an audit. So in making this decision, I'll go to the, so now making this decision, so now audit firms right. Services that can be provided by a chartered accountant, right. So generally divided into two. Right. One is assurance services. Assurance services. Other one is a non-assurance services. Non-assurance services, right? So now that is the most critical decision which I mentioned in that video. So there are two types of services that are given by a chartered accountant. The most important decision is this is an assurance service or this is a non-assurance services. To make the decision of whether it is an assurance services or whether it is a non-assurance services, so you have to apply a short formula, that is CREST. Can you remember? CREST. Right. So CREST means in order to get qualified that as an assurance services, there are 5 criteria are there. That 5 criteria should be complied. If that 5 criteria are not fulfilled, it is a non-assurance service. So non-assurance services we say as otherwise we say related service. Can you remember? Related service. It says related services. Right. So related services are divided into 2. I hope that you can remember this thing. One is agreeing upon procedures and compilation engagement. Right. And the assurance services can be divided into 2 and all audit review, and there are so many classification. I am not going to do it now because then it becomes assurance chapter. So now in this particular case, now we have to make a decision, important decision, whether it is coming under this journey or this journey. Right. In order to make that decision, it's very much important for you to understand whether 5 criteria are remains. In the example given in the questions, in that case, we have to see that whether all 5 criteria are there. Whether tri-party relationship, number 1 is very important one, tri-party relationship is there. In this particular case, the audit firm is there, right, and the board of directors is there in the business organization. But, most importantly, the shareholder concern is not in there in the case given. Because board of directors have requested auditor to assess the appropriateness of the aging report generated by the company itself. There is no third party person comes and involved and asks such a report. So therefore, tri-party involvement itself is a fail. Board of directors come and ask from you, can you evaluate the aging report generated by the system to see whether this is correct? Because why? If that is wrong, the impairment calculation that is made in SLFR is 9, also not correct. Right? So therefore, that itself it is a fail. You can consider other factors now, whether criteria are there. Yes, criteria can be developed if required, and then the reporting also can be there, but then the evidence also will be there, and the subject matter, there is a subject matter means aging report. So even though other factors are there for a certain level, not all, but certain level, the fundamental tripartite relationship is not there. So if the fundamental tripartite relationship is not there, mean you cannot go in this road. You cannot go in this road, so you have to go in this particular road. So non-assurance services or related services. Now board of directors come and ask for me to evaluate the appropriateness of the aging report. Then what type of service I will give? Agreed upon procedures or the compilation. You know compilation mean what? The compilation mean the management comes and asks us to prepare the financial statement on behalf of the management, compile the information on behalf of the management. So therefore this is not a compilation engagement, obviously this is an agreed upon procedure, right? That is the correct answer, right? So if you go to the answer now, you don't have to read anything, you know answer is the answer D, agreed upon procedures. So what I want to tell you here is when you are developing an answer at the CL1 examination paper, be a logical student. Even if you don't know the answer, you can develop an answer. But you need to have a summary of each and every chapter. You have to be exam focused as well. So you need to have the already knowledge. In the meantime, you have to be exam focused also, right? When you are becoming exam focused, knowing everything on assurance services also important. In the meantime, you have to concentrate on a key matters. Now, good example is division of assurance, non-assurance diagram must be a concrete level in your mind to answer any of the questions that are coming from assurance engagement. That is chapter number 17. Right? So, I am not going to read the other answers. So, this is agreed upon procedures and issuance of a factual finding report of a Sri Lanka standard on related services 4400 revised standards. Recently, this was changed. Right, we'll go to the next question. Question number 5. Question number 5. So, DRAMES PLC. So, this is a DRAME PLC. Company name is important. Is an audit client that was listed during the current financial year. So, this is a listed in the current financial year. As such, Disna Silva was appointed as the engagement quality control reviewer. Another beautiful discussion in your CL1 syllabus, quality control reviewing. So, in your CL1 syllabus, actually there are some beautiful areas like digital auditing, then the quality control, code of ethics, right? And audit planning. Sometimes you may not agree, audit planning is beautiful. If you know the logic, it is one of the beautiful topic, beautiful logical meaning topic in the auditing. So some student, I know some student they don't like auditing, but if you can make your mind to make something interested, this is I would say like this is like a loving subject, most beautiful subject. Everything has logic, everything has meaning. If you hate for the auditing, if you don't like for the auditing, believe my word, one day you think that, so this is your one of the favorite subject, one of the interesting subject, one of the beautiful subject. From that day, your life will change toward to this examination. Right? So, select one of the important areas that DISNA will involve for this engagement. Select one of the important areas that DISNA will involve. So, this is from the chapter number 18 of your CL1 syllabus. Overall direction, supervision and review of the engagement and perform consultation on matters arising from the audit. Discussing with the engagement team significant risk identified during the engagement and the responses to those risks. Mandatory participation of key client meetings to understand the business operation and discuss significant matters arising from the audit. Effective project management of the engagement to ensure the effectiveness and efficiency of the audit engagement. What is that? It's asking quality control reviewer, you are the quality control reviewer, select one of the important areas that DISNA will involve for this engagement. One of the important areas that DISNA will involve as what? As a quality control reviewer, QCR. Being a PLC, the quality control review is mandatory. So that means, so there will be engagement team in the audit, engagement partner, manager, director, senior, so whoever the team is there, they will be going and doing the audit. There is a person who is outside the team is appointed within the firm to review these working papers and their other conclusions before releasing the audit report to the client by the audit firm. right? So quality control reviewer is the internal person within the audit firm. It says that overall direction, supervision and review of the engagement and perform consultation on matters arising from the audit. Overall direction, supervision and the review of engagement will have to be done by the engagement team. It will have to be done by the engagement partner manager. What quality control reviewer does? It's only a reviewer. It's an internal independent person. Discussing with the engagement team significant risk identified during the engagement and the responses to those risks, including assessment and the response for it. Not sure. Mandatory participation of key client meeting. Obviously, you know, client meeting, should the quality control reviewer goes? No, it's not required. And effective project management of the engagement to ensure that the effective and efficiency of the audit engagement. Project management will have to be done by the engagement manager, the project manager, supervisor, or executive of the audit. It's their project. It's their project, not the quality control reviewer's audit project. It's a different story. So now when you look at here, so you can develop a logical answer and do this one. Discussing with the engagement team. You have to discuss with the engagement team because you are an outside person. Significant risk identified during the engagement. What are the risks that you have identified? And the responses to those risks, including assessment and the response, engagement and the responses to those risks, including assessment and the response to fraud. So what they have done, identified as a risk, and what are their responses. So you have to go and discuss. That's correct. So you can logically develop an answer like this. Oh, alright. You can logically develop an answer like this. Oh, so you can directly go to the page 564 of your study text. If you go, this is there. I always tell that these all most of the examination questions of the CL1 paper. From directly you can see the suggested solution given by Sri Lanka, right? You can see. So they have given even, you can see here, page number reference. So that means, so each and every question is from study text. But the fact is, it's not a direct application from the study text to the examination question. It's a practical scenario based application, but it is based on the study text. There is no any question in the examination paper outside the study text. Right. So let's go to the next question. The question is question number 6. So you are responsible for the audit of Neon Limited. So this is a limited. It's not a private limited, but it is not a limited, not listed. Your firm is considering the introducing the use of computer assisted audit techniques. Again, chapter 15, another beautiful discussion of auditing in a digital environment. Computer assisted audit techniques to test the journal entries. CATs are going to be applied. So you know what is meant by CAT? CAT, can you remember of chapter 15? So basically CAT has a two things. What is that? One is audit software. Audit software. Another one is what? Other one is a test data. Other one is a test data. So computer assisted audit techniques. The computer is helping the auditor to carry out the audit. So two ways are there. One is audit software and test data. Audit software, we have two types of audit software. So generalized audit software and customized audit software. Right. Okay. So now the question is, which of the following is an example? Which of the following is an example of using test data for testing journal entries? So test data mean what? Test data, testing of data. Test data, testing of data. How you can test the data? When you go to a bank, if you are auditor of the bank, to ensure whether the ATM machine is working or not, what should you do? you can do a transaction, you can do a dummy transaction there. Right? When you go for an audit, let's say online money lending company, if you are auditing, it's a good example. Or if you are auditing, let's say even a normal company, procurement process, payment process or whatever. Best thing to test whether system is properly working, what? You can enter some data into the system and see the outcome. You can enter the correct data, you can enter the wrong data. Then you can see that where the outcome is coming. That is simply closed as test data or testing of data. Right? So now you know the answer as well. So what can be done for test data now? So extracting the population of the non-standard journal entries from Nuance general ledger for further analysis. Extracting the population of the non-standard journal entries from Nuance general ledger for further analysis. Extract from the system. You want the CAT. For what purpose? Scanning the list of non-standard and manual journal entries to search for large and unusual item for further testing. Scanning the list. For what purpose? CAT. Input in the dummy. Dummy word is coming here. Non-standard journal entry into the Nuance general ledger to check if it was processed according to the set parameters. You put the dummy data into the system and see whether it perform according to the pre-decided parameters. That is what I was telling previously. So therefore, no need to look at anything. Answer C will be the correct answer. Stratifying, dividing the size of journal entries population based on the journal entry amount using the debit side of the transaction. So those are Excel you can do and all this analysis. This analysis which can be accommodated through the Excel. That is not a computer assisted audit techniques, right? So if you know, you can write these answers. Otherwise, guessing. This is not a difficult question, but you should know these are actually anybody can predict. Now, this you don't have to predict these things. If you look at the CL1 syllabus, if you read out, if you look at the past paper analysis, you can predict this could be tested. These are very core concepts of auditing. It is repeatedly being tested. Now, even though audit planning questions are there in the previous 4 examination, you can't come to a conclusion it will not be tested. Definitely it will be tested. Why? Without audit planning, you can't have auditing paper. Something like that. If you properly analyze the past papers, even you can predict the examination paper, because certain important principles must be tested and you should be aware of those things. Right. So we'll go to the question number 7 now. Question number 7. Question number 7, again a good question. Question number 7. So you are the audit manager of Hero Line PLC. So you are the audit manager of Hero Line PLC. The internal audit division of Hero was established several years ago and it is headed by a qualified accountant. Your audit team considering using the work of the internal audit function. Can you remember this is where? This is chapter number 6 part A. Use of the work of others. Service organization. Expert. Internal audit. There are 3 subheadings under chapter number 6 starting part A. In obtaining audit evidence for the financial audit, your audit team, remember, Gayan has compiled the following list of activities performed by the internal audit team during the financial year that can be used by your team. Again, I am coming for the same approach. Please, either you logically develop answer, either you remember and write. But I always like for the student who are on the press category. You get the logic of all those topics, get the overall understanding of the auditing flow, and logically develop an answer. That is the most successful method for an auditing paper. Now this, if you want to write, this is exactly given in the study text. If I exactly tell the page number, this is given in the page number exactly 201 of the study text. This is there. You can go and see. But more than that, how to remember that thousand page of volume 1 and volume 2, how to remember that? You cannot remember. What can be done? So it's hard journey that we develop the logical auditing. We'll try to develop a logical thinking auditing. That will be the most successful method. Right now, so these are the function that the internal auditor has done. Thing is, which of the above activities performed by the internal auditor function can be used by your audit team? Internal auditors activities which are done by the internal auditor are going to be used by the right. So this diagram previously what we discussed. Now this person is an internal person who is overlooking and who is doing a multitask in the company perspective. But in our case, we are different people. Who we are. So we are coming with a different background. So management of the company, so they prepare the financial statement and give it to the shareholders. But shareholders do not trust the management. So therefore shareholder comes and appoint a third party person called auditor or chartered accountant to come and check the financial statement, come and check this financial statement and give a report. Right? So this management structure only we have given here. Now this cunning auditor, I used to cunning auditor because that he is going to use the internal auditor. This cunning auditor now, he is going to use the internal auditor to assist his work. So that means there are certain things that he has done within the company for a different purpose. But we as a third party independent auditor who is coming from outside external audit firm, we come and see that, look here, this internal auditor has done certain activities. Can I use those activities since he has already checked? I don't have to check it that. Everything or few things or something, depending on the case. Everything is not possible, but depending on the case, auditor can decide what activities I can use that are done by him. But sole responsibility is with me. I can't say that, look here shareholder, I didn't do that, I didn't check that, but I saw that your internal auditor has checked, so therefore I didn't check it. So you can't tell like that. End of the day, responsibility is vested with the external auditor. Right. Now, in this particular case, what it says, so there are 5 activities: observation of inventory counts, assessing the risk of material misstatement, testing significant accounting estimates, testing of operating effectiveness and testing of compliance with the regulatory requirement, evaluating the adequacy or disclosure of the financial statement. Which of the above activities performed by the internal audit department can be used? So what are the activities can be used? Now, just see. Observation of inventory counts, can it be used or not? Can it be used or not? That can be used for a certain level. Yes, it can be used because observation that they will do. So we can, even a COVID time and all that, we had to use specially because internal auditors counting because we were unable to attend it. And number 2, assessing the risk of material misstatement. Assessing the risk, can they do? Can we rely on that? No, assessing risk of material misstatement is our core. Testing significant accounting estimates. Impairment, fair value of innocent property, depreciation, warranty provision, contingent liabilities. Can we depend on the internal auditor? Those are key of the auditing which cannot be. Testing the operating effectiveness of control. Yes. Testing of compliance with the regulatory requirements, yes, less risk. Evaluating the adequacy of disclosures in the finance statement, which is not possible. Evaluating the adequacy of disclosures in the finance statement is one of the final tasks of the external auditor. We have to see that the company has disclosed whatever the requirement that has been given in SLFRS and LKs. Those activities cannot be bypassed or cannot be passed to the internal auditor and just escape from that. So either you can develop logically like this, or if you go to the page number 201, exact page number is 201. Yes, 201, you can find out this one. Okay, right. So now what is the answer? Answer 1, 4 and 5. 1, 4 and 5 is coming under the answer C. 1, 4 and 1, 4 and 5. Okay, right. Let's go to the next question now. Question number, we are coming to the question number 8. So Horizon Private Limited wants to appoint Fernando and Company as the statutory auditor. You are an audit manager, Fernando and Company, and is aware that as per Sri Lanka Auditing Standard 210, simple question, agree in the terms of audit engagement, there are preconditions, for an auditor to accept and or continue an audit engagement. Identify the precondition that the Fernando and Company should satisfy prior to accepting the audit engagement. Now these are bases. I don't think this question should not come at CL1. My personal view. Why? This is very simple question. There are a very difficult question at the beginning and this is a very simple question. But I know some of the students this answer also wrong. The precondition is one of the fundamental in auditing. The precondition means what? Now one of the client is coming and asking me, can you undertake the audit? Before we go and sign a formal engagement letter, we need to agree certain things in advance. That is called precondition. So good example now, when a girl and a boy, before they get married officially in front of a registrar, they agree certain things in advance. What are the jobs they are going to do, where they are going to live, and how the house is constructed, and how we are. So all these are agreed in advance virtually, rather going and signing in front of a registrar. Similarly, auditor and the management also, there are certain things agreed in advance before come to the official written letter. There are main two preconditions. What? Number one, the financial reporting framework, whether it is a SLFRS or IFRS or whatever the financial reporting framework. Number two, management should undertake the responsibility on a three aspect. What? Preparation of finance statements, designing and implementing internal control, and giving the access to all information to the auditor. These are the preconditions which has to be remembered in your mind in a concrete level, because those are very basic of the auditing. Right? So now what is the answer? You can just read it out and find out the answer. The finance statement reporting framework is acceptable, and management agreement for its responsibilities on preparation of finance statement. Yes, that is a correct answer. And the audit fee and the recovery rate, these are in detail later, detailed thing. These are not a very broader concept. Precondition means broader concept. The management had agreed to the deadline for the planning, and management had agreed to the deadline for the planning and performance of the audit and the audit team composition proposed by you. So these are detailed planning later. The management had acknowledged the Fernando and Company will be informed of subsequent event. Subsequent event is only one thing at the audit, at last point. It is not a broader concept that we need to agree. Right? So therefore it's very clear cut, and answer A is the correct answer. So you can refer that in, if you want, you can refer the page. This is in chapter number 4, beginning itself, this is there. Right, we'll go to the next question now. So this is next question is question number 9. Again a large case, but it's not a difficult one. Right. So Data One Solution Limited is providing outsourced data management services. Outsourced data management services. So due to the nature of the operation, DOS collects and stores a significant amount of information of their client. Recently, one of the staff members of DOS has reported to the IT department that he downloaded an attachment and his entire database system has been locked, where a payment is demanded to regain the access to the database. This had happened when he received emails from an attention grabbing subject update required and promoted to download the attachment to complete the process. Which of the following action by the IT department of DOS would best mitigate the above situation in the future? What is that? This is very commonly happening to us as well, right? So sometimes there are some emails received by us, all of us, if you are working in environment, and lot of emails are coming. So there are some different email addresses coming, and your update is required, and please update. If you click that, your computer data will be taken by the hackers. This is a very common thing which happen in the world, right? So read again. So DataOne Solution Limited is providing outsourced data management services. Due to the nature of the operation, DOS collects and stores a significant amount of information of their clients. Recently, one of the staff members of DOS has reported to the IT department that he downloaded an attachment and his entire database system has been locked. He has received an email and there was a update required, and he has updated, his computer has been locked, and demanded to regain an access to the database. This had happened when he received emails with an attention grabbing subject, update required, and prompted to download the attachment to complete the process. Don't do this one. This is exam question, but don't do this one. We have to be careful on that. So this we learned under the which? Chapter number 15, auditing in a digital environment. The final section, what? Cyber security. Under the cyber security, there is a table. If you can remember the study text, there are two. If I go to the study text, if I show you, so study text volume 1, volume 2, you have to go. Right, cyber security, directly I went it there. So if you look at the cyber security under the page number 445, so there you can see cyber security controls, cyber security risk and controls to mitigate. What we are talking is, this is the technical term that we examiner has tested, right? So now, right, so now you can identify the answer as well. So which of the following action by the IT department of DOS would best mitigate best activity? So ensure that all user accounts are protected by password and usernames, and the detailed audit trail of the user activities is maintained. Ensure that staff access to the IT system has been limited to the minimum required to undertake their roles in transaction processing. Ensure that the employee user accounts are reviewed regularly and are deleted when they leave the company. Ensure that all IT systems and servers are up to date with the security patches, and all staff are trained how to avoid, right? This is the wording, avoid the phishing scams. This is very clear. This is the answer. So you can easily you can identify the answer. That's the question number 9. So we'll go to the question number 10. Last question of the MCQ quick question. Question number 10. Yes. Shahan lives in Dubai and had been employed in a company in Dubai for more than 15 years. He decided to start a business in Sri Lanka with his savings and open a restaurant in Colombo with one of his friends. Dilanta, who is also employed and lives in Dubai, they set up a limited liability company in Sri Lanka to manage the restaurant in Sri Lanka and appointed a Ranga to manage the activities. Both Shahan and Nilanta became the shareholders of the company in Sri Lanka, holding 70% and 30% of shares respectively. Since Shahan and Nilanta are unable to be in Sri Lanka, so they appointed Ranga and his friend Chamit as directors of the company. So what has happened here? What has happened? So now there were two friends, let's say Shahan and Nilanta. Shahan and Nilanta, they are in Dubai and they get together, they incorporate a company in Sri Lanka. So that is 70%, he has a 70% and he has a 30%. So since they are not in Sri Lanka, so they have appointed 2 directors to run the business activities, right? Ranga and his friend Chamit. Ranga and Chamit. So both have been appointed. It's a very simple question actually. So identify the correct statement with regard to this. Identify the correct statement with regard to this. Since the Ranga and Chamat are not shareholders, they are not accountable for anyone in respect of the transactions of the company. Ranga and Chamit is not shareholders, they are not accountable for anyone. No, this is completely wrong. Why? You know. So these Ranga and Chamit we call as agency theory. They are working as agent on behalf of the shareholders. They are appointed as agent by the shareholders. So therefore they can't say they are not accountable for anything. They are accountable for to whom? They are stakeholders. Chapter number 1 very clearly given. Then number 2 it says, since Ranga and Chamit is not shareholders of the company, they are only accountable for the employees of the company. No, they are accountable to the shareholders. That is also wrong. Since Ranga and Chamit are directors of the company, they act as agent of Shahan and Nilanta in respect of the company transaction. That is one of the correct answer. We will see the other one also. Right. So, since Ranga and Chamit are directors of the company, they are responsible only for the preparation of the finance statement of the company. That is wrong, right? So therefore, what is the correct answer here? It's very clearly easy, it's not a difficult one. So correct answer is answer C. Since Ranga and Chamit are directors of the company, they act as agent of Shahan and Nilanta in respect of the company's transaction. C is the correct answer. Right. Now when you look at these 10 questions, actually, I want to share with you a few comments from my end. Question number 1 and 2 are very tough. If a student started with the question number 1 and 2, he will get mad at the beginning. That is why I am telling the MCQ question, so you have to be careful. During the 3 hours of the examination, your mentality is important, mental strength is important, that should not be pushed down. Question number 1 and 2, so difficult. There are 4 questions out of this 10 questions in my assessment. Out of these 10 questions actually, out of 10, 2 are very tough, very difficult, right? And 4 are moderate and 4 are easy. That's how it goes. 2 are very difficult, question number 1 and 2. Then 4 questions are moderate and 4 questions are easy. That is where generally in auditing papers of MCQ question, if you can attend to the 8 question and 16 marks, you will through the exam, you will get through the exam. Right? So just because of these 2 difficult questions, don't think that the auditing is difficult. That is also not difficult, but if you have a logical thinking answer, that also can be done. Can be done. But only thing is you need to learn the theory and apply that into the scenarios. That is the most weakest point that you have. You don't have to have an audit trainee to write these questions. Even audit trainers can't write these questions. Because logical thinking is necessary. So I believe that the MCQ questions, the 10 MCQ questions, I took little longer time and very clear to you.